This is The Top, where I interview entrepreneurs who are number one or number two in their industry in terms of revenue or customer base. You'll learn how much revenue they're making, what their marketing funnel looks like, and how many customers they have.
I'm now at $20,000 per talk.
5 and 6 million.
He is hell-bent on global domination. We just broke our 100,000 unit sold mark.
And I'm your host, Nathan Latka.
Okay, Top Tribe, this week's winner of the $100 is Zach Ferran. He's a 22-year-old Apple employee, and he's listening to the show and loving it. For your chance to win $100 every Monday, simply subscribe to the podcast on iTunes now, and then text the word Nathan to 33444 to prove that you did it to enter. Folks, many of you reach out to me and you say, Nathan, so many guests on your show talk about the importance of batching. But whenever I try and batch, you tell me this. You go, Nathan, they don't book back-to-back times. Or they don't show up after they book. It's frustrating. The answer is, guys, you have to use smart tools. I use a tool called Acuity Scheduling at nathanlatka.com/schedule. I'll tell you specifically how I use it later on in the episode. Nathan Latka here. This is episode 561. You're really going to love it. And coming up tomorrow morning, you'll learn from Nick, who founded Illuminetto. They raised $700,000 and just recently passed 100 customers with their team in DC. Folks, good morning. Nathan Latka here. Our guest today is Ken Marlin. He's the founder and managing partner of Marlin and Associates, an award-winning mergers and acquisitions-focused investment bank headquartered in New York City with offices in San Francisco, Washington, D.C., and Toronto. Ken's also the author of The Marine Corps Way to Win on Wall Street, 11 Key Principles from the Battlefield to the Boardroom, which was published in September. We'll talk about that in a second. Additionally, between 1970 and 1981, Ken rose from the enlisted ranks to become a Marine captain and infantry commander. Since then, he's been an entrepreneur, a tech company CEO twice, a senior corporate executive twice, and for the past 20 plus years, an investment banker on Wall Street. For the past 14 years, he's been leading his own firm as articulated, Marlin and Associates. Additionally, throughout all these endeavors, he's applied Marine Corps principles to leading successful businesses. That's what we'll focus on today. Ken, are you ready to take us to the top?
I'm happy to chat. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks for coming on. Is 2017 going to be a good year for M&A or what?
You know, so far it's starting out with a bang. We actually closed a transaction today. We have 8 more that we're working on, which is a fair amount for us. So far the year's starting out strong, and we're just going to hope nobody does anything stupid to mess it up.
Is the press release for today's one out yet? Can you share it?
It's not.
Okay.
We're waiting for the company to release it.
No problem. Tell us how the business works. So you founded this company. How do you make money doing this?
Oh, we don't do things for crass money. We just do it for the honor and privilege of working with our clients. They're great clients, but every once in a while they do pay us. We do try hard to be the trusted advisor to people who want to buy or sell middle market technology companies. We have both buyers and sellers who pay us a retainer to help them figure out what's the right thing to do. And sometimes, interestingly, the right thing to do is to put your head down and keep growing your business for another year or two. But sometimes the right thing to do is to transact. And when it is, we try to help them do that in a smart way, and we get a small piece of the purchase or the sale price.
What is that typically? 3%, 1%, 10%?
The bigger the deal, the smaller the percentage. So when you're talking about deals that are a couple of $100 million, you're at under 1%. And when you're talking about smaller transactions, then it could be as much as 7%. For us, I'd say we probably average around 3 to 4%.
Okay, and take us back to 2016. What was kind of the total transaction volume you guys helped process? If that's how you measure it. How do you measure your success in 2016?
Yeah, I don't really measure transaction volume. For us in 2016, if I think about it, it was probably someplace around $1 billion. But I don't think of that as the measure. We typically work with 8 to 10 clients a year. That's about all we can handle. We try to give each one of them a lot of senior level attention. This is a very service oriented part part of the business. Unlike when you work with a large publicly traded company and helping somebody buy or sell a big company like that, which is very process oriented, ours is very consultative. We sometimes have to help sellers communicate clearly what makes their company really cool, what makes it different, what makes it unique, what is their competitive advantage, and why should somebody care, and then we have to help them through all phases of the process, including helping them understand what's likely to happen next, and help them negotiate all phases of the transaction. And when we work with buyers, it's often similar in helping them to understand the strengths and weaknesses, the opportunities, and sometimes the threats involved in the companies that they're looking to buy.
Is it common, Ken, for you to be on both sides of the transaction advising?
No, we've had a couple of times when people have asked us to play the role of honest broker, and the truth is that we always try to play the role of honest broker. But actually, these things tend to work best if both sides have experienced advisors that can help their respective clients understand sort of what's reasonable and customary in this business.
That helps you dilute the risk of trying to negotiate with an irrational group, which is dangerous.
That's right, and of course nobody believes that they are irrational.
Yeah. I would never admit that, right? My mom would say I'm irrational.
Yeah. Right, so everybody believes that their positions are reasonable and logical, and often they are from their perspective, but sometimes people have to understand the other guy's perspective. I always tell people there are no risk-free transactions. And so often the question is, how much risk is there, and really reasonably, who should assume that risk? And we've seen both buyers who don't want to assume any risk whatsoever, which is not reasonable, and sellers who sometimes don't want to assume any risk whatsoever, and that's not reasonable either. So sometimes we have to help people understand what's reasonable.
You mentioned 2016, you did about $1 billion in kind of transactions. How many transactions was that spread across?
That one was spread across six deals.
So you do about one deal kind of every other month, whether it's an exit or a fundraising or whatever.
That's right. And we're I thought that was going to be 8, and 2 of those deals slipped into 2017. So as I said, one closed today, and we have another one that we expect to close shortly.
True or false, one of the beautiful things about the holidays is it's a beautiful forcing function to get some of these things done.
Oh, for many people, there is a certain clarity that comes with starting the year clean and fresh. So we have a number of buyers who would like to start the year with the acquisition that they're trying to make, and oftentimes we have a lot of sellers who would like to get something done by the end of the year, just because it's clean to end the year that way. We're not particularly focused on when some deal closes. Do I really care if it closes in late December or January? I don't, but we do see people who sometimes do care.
What is the number one reason? I'm sure you've had deals blow up before. What's the number one reason a deal will blow up?
So many different reasons.
The one that drives you the most crazy.
I would say that there are many that drive me crazy. I would say that from a seller's perspective, we always tell a seller that these transactions are based on trust, and both sides need to trust the other, but part of building that trust is being honest with the people on the other side. And so we tell them to over disclose if there's something that could possibly trip something up. Let's tell people about it early. early and get the explanation out early. And we also tell them it's important in these transactions that they put forward a set of financial projections that they're going to meet.
Yep.
And we, often see people who are not used to having to put out financial projections that they're going to meet. And so they want to be optimistic, and they want to show what a great company they are and what great growth is coming, and they think that's how they're going to maximize their price. And they're partly right, as long as they actually meet those optimistic forecasts. But these negotiations can go on for months, and it will soon become obvious if you're going to make those forecasts or not. And if not, it's not only about numbers, it's about trust.
Is it a more effective strategy to kind of slightly under project so that when you're in the final month of the negotiation, you can say, by the way, we killed projections. Don't try and get us to give up additional clauses?
Absolutely. As I tell people, I don't mind late in the process going back to a buyer and raising the forecast for the current year or for next year, and I hate to go back to the buyer and to lower it. Perfection, which is often hard to achieve. Perfection is to give people a set of forecast that you're going to meet and to meet it, because it shows a certain level of competence and management control that is impressive when people are going to do that. But you're absolutely right. I tell them, if you're not sure, then underestimate right now, and then 3 months into the process, we can go back to people and we can always revise it up.
A smart tactic, top drive for you guys to take away. Ken, let's get into the book, The Marine Corps' Way to Win on Wall Street, 11 Key Principles from the Battlefield to the Boardroom. This was between 1970 and 1981. You went from enlisted ranks to become a Marine captain and an infantry commander. Give me one key principle you learned on the battlefield that's applicable to the boardroom.
Well, there's 11 key principles in the book, and they're all applicable. But
tease us. Give us one.
And the first one in the book is something that I call "Take the Long View," and the concept is not very complicated. It's pretty straightforward. It says that in the Marine Corps, all tactics derive from a clear understanding of the long-term strategic objective that you are trying to accomplish. And once you understand that long-term strategic objective, then you make sure that all your tactics align with it, and you don't do things that don't align with it. And it sounds just sort of blindingly obvious, and of course that's what people do. But what we see in our world is a lot of people who very often don't even have a clear strategic objective, and even when they do, they too often engage in tactics that are reactive. And so, a classic is people who buy companies without a clear understanding of how that acquisition helps advance them towards a clear strategic goal. Take two recent examples. One is Microsoft buying LinkedIn, and another is Verizon buying Yahoo. Leaving aside Yahoo's information security breaches of late. I would argue that Verizon buying Yahoo is a smart move that does advance them towards a clear strategic objective, given the fact that Verizon had already bought AOL and had announced an objective of making AOL into the leader in consumer-oriented internet, mail, sports, entertainment, etc. And Yahoo is not only a great bolt-on to that, but without buying Yahoo, it wasn't clear to any of us how Verizon was going to achieve that objective with AOL. So I would argue that's a smart move. And separately, I actually think it was a smart price. I contrast that with Microsoft buying LinkedIn, and I should say that I love LinkedIn. I'm one of the first 1,000 users of LinkedIn. We use it extensively in my company. I think it's a great service, and yet I think it has zero strategic fit with Microsoft, in spite of their press releases. And
defensive play against Salesforce?
We see Microsoft make these sort of defensive plays and sometimes offensive plays a lot. They bought aQuantive and then wound up writing it down. They bought Nokia's handset business and wound up writing it down. They do this a lot. And defensive measures only make sense when they advance you towards a clearly defined strategic objective. Otherwise, they just waste people's time and money.
Guys, I get asked all the time, Nathan, you host all these interviews, hundreds of them per month. How do you do them efficiently? And guys, the answer is simple. People always agree to my calendar, back-to-back meetings. I batch my interviews to stay very efficient. And the way that I do it is I use a tool called Acuity Scheduling at nathanlatka.com/schedule. And the reason I use them is very simple. They keep my no-show rate very low because they send out reminders about when the interview or the meeting is coming up. And also, they make it very easy to schedule time, right? I don't have to go back and forth via email 10,000 times with people I'm trying to meet with. Okay, at nathanlatka.com/schedule. It helps me so much. And by the way, look, I have so many meetings. I'm the best at meetings. Okay, I do them back to back, very, very efficient. You guys know me. Many people say I'm the most efficient they've ever seen. Okay, so I use the tool. It's so efficient. And by the way, I got Gavin. I said, Gavin, he's the CEO. I said, I want a great deal for my people. He said, Nathan, well, most people get a 14-day trial. Isn't that great? I said, no. He's given us a 45-day free trial at nathanlatka.com/schedule. That's not going to stay up forever, so go get it now. nathanlatka.com/schedule. Very good. Hey, let's wrap up here, Ken, with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book besides your own?
It has to be besides my own. I loved In Search of Excellence quite a long time ago, and a concept that they espoused in that business called managing by wandering around. We deal with managers all the time, and the best ones are not the ones that are always in their office. And I can always find them there. They're out wandering around, talking to employees, talking to customers, talking to suppliers, and hearing firsthand what are people's issues.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying currently?
I'm always talking with CEOs. I'm always watching them and observing them. Right now, the guy I'm paying the most attention to, I suppose, is a CEO, but he's a CEO of a venture capital firm, and his name is Fred Wilson. And I think he is the smartest guy I know in terms of identifying new trends and taking advantage of them.
Number 3, is there a is there a favorite online tool that you use on a daily basis?
We're very big users of LinkedIn, as I mentioned, and also of Salesforce. I think Salesforce has given us a huge advantage in managing our business. We're a big believer in online tools. We're also a big user of Capital IQ, of PitchBook, and a number of other tools.
Is that a good deal for Morningstar?
I think that PitchBook is an excellent company, and we'll see how good a deal it is for Morningstar. I think Joe Mansueto is one of the smartest CEOs out there. He's done a tremendous job with Morningstar, and so I would never bet against him. The particular strategic fit with Morningstar is going to be interesting to watch. Yep,
very good. Number 4, yes or no, do you get 8 hours of sleep every night?
No.
And what's your situation, Ken? Married, single, do you have kids?
I'm married. I have one daughter, and she landed in New York after 2 weeks in Asia. She landed about an hour ago. She just called me.
Very good. And how old are you?
See now that one was that your 5th or is that your 6th?
I'm cheating now. Give me a range. Cheat young.
Yeah, after 20, what am I doing? 15 years in this business, 10 years in the Marine Corps, and 10 years running businesses before that. Somebody can do that.
I must say, I'll guess somewhere around 55-ish. But here's the reason that question's important. Yeah. Take us back to your 20-year-old self, Ken. What do you wish that guy knew?
What do I wish that guy knew? What I tell my daughter, I tell other people is pursue your passions, pursue the things that you really like, that you love, and you'll do well at those things. Play to your strengths, not to your weaknesses.
Top Tribe, there you have it. Play to your strengths, not your weaknesses, from Ken Marlin, again, founder and managing partner of Marlin and Associates. In 2016, they did over $1 billion in total volume, helping over 6 clients get great deals done. They take on average 3% plus a retainer model. But more importantly, Ken's been there. He's done that as tech CEO. He's written his book. Check it out. He also loves In Search of Excellence and Managing by Wondering. Ken, thank you for taking us to the top.
Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate it.
Folks, if you enjoyed Ken, go back and listen to Steven yesterday of Badger Maps. They did $1.2 million in 2016, passed $120,000 in monthly recurring revenue, and they're looking to 3x this year in 2017. Top Tribe, I love giving away free money. I feel like Oprah giving away cars, and I have something special for you today. How many of you have heard our super sharp guests talk about success they've had with Facebook and Google Ads? Well, all of you listening right now, yes, if you're listening, you get $100 in free AdWords. Here's how you get it, okay? Again, thanks for listening. Get the free $100 from Google, right, when you sign up with my website host provider, HostGator. Go sign up now to get your free money. HostGator.com/Nathan. Again, that's HostGator.com/Nathan. Okay, Top Tribe, I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. And don't forget, before you listen to any other episodes, subscribe on iTunes right now for your chance to win $100 every Monday.